Welcome in, everybody, to our deep dive today.
Oh, yeah. Looking forward to this one.
Into the world of Bill Murray.
Yeah.
You know, you sent over his interview from the Joe Rogan Experience.
Yep.
It is a long one, so
it is.
we're going to try to pull out some of the most interesting threads for you today.
Right.
I mean, we're talking Hunter S. Thompson, classic Hollywood car chases,
Oh, yeah.
even Murray's take on things like golf and archery, all in one conversation.
Yeah. It's really fascinating how Rogan can kind of pull those threads together from different people.
Yeah.
What really stood out to you from all those topics?
You know, honestly, I think it's how Bill Murray himself seems to just so effortlessly bridge all these seemingly disparate worlds.
Yeah.
Like he's got this comedic sensibility, right? But then there's this real depth to his observations.
Yeah.
This kind of quiet wisdom that I think really caught my attention.
Yeah. I think that's what makes him so fascinating in this interview, so interesting. So why don't we start with that Hunter S. Thompson connection, since you marked that as like particularly interesting.
Yes, especially that whole part about meeting Thompson and Aspen.
Oh, yeah.
Like neither of them knew who the other one was at first, which is just hilarious.
Right.
Considering they're both icons in their own right.
Yeah, and they just clicked,
right,
riffing off each other. The whole bar just loved it.
Yeah.
Really speaks to that power of just like genuine connection.
Right.
Humor transcends fame or status or anything like that.
And you can see that mutual respect throughout their whole relationship.
Yeah.
You know, Murray doesn't just admire Thompson's wild side. He really values his insight.
Yeah.
Particularly his political commentary.
Right.
Did you catch that quote about Nixon and Fear and Loathing on the campaign trail?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like,
he sees that book as like a touchstone.
Yes.
A way to understand just the absurdity of American politics.
Right. And which hasn't really calmed down since Thompson's time.
No, not at all.
So it's interesting.
Very relevant.
It's very relevant still. Yeah. That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
And then there's that whole Nixon's Back project.
Oh, yeah.
The story about the Klieg light at Chateau Marmont.
Oh, I know.
I mean,
pure Murray, right?
Oh,
yeah.
Like classic.
Classic gonzo journalism.
Yeah.
And just a great example of how their dynamic worked. You know, Thompson's the instigator pushing boundaries, and Murray's right there, game for anything.
Yeah.
Capturing the absurdity of it all.
But also grounding it in a way.
Yeah, I think so.
You can tell Murray feels this sense of responsibility. When it comes to portraying Thompson on screen.
Yeah.
Like with where the Buffalo Roam. There's that anecdote about their late night writing sessions.
Yeah.
Trying to really capture the essence of the man.
Right. It's beyond just acting.
Yeah.
It's about honoring a friend.
There's a real tenderness there.
Oh, absolutely.
And it makes what he says later about navigating political differences.
Right. Yeah.
Even more powerful.
Yeah.
Like if those two could find common ground, there's hope for the rest of us.
Yeah, especially in this day and age of just like social media, shouting matches.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Makes me think about how we approach disagreements in our own lives.
Right.
Okay, switching gears a little bit.
Okay.
To something a little lighter.
Yeah.
Murray's reflections on comedy and his SNL days are just a goldmine.
Oh, yeah, they are.
What did you make of his observation about the In Memoriam segment?
Oh.
At the 40th anniversary special.
Yeah, I thought it was really poignant.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't just about remembering those who'd passed, but also like a commentary on how comedy itself has shifted over the years.
Exactly.
What we find funny, what we deem acceptable.
Right.
It's constantly evolving.
Exactly. And it makes his stories about working with Phil Hartman even more bittersweet.
Yeah.
You can tell there's just genuine admiration there for Hartman's talent and his professionalism.
Yeah. Hartman was a master of his craft.
Yeah.
You really get that sense from Murray's description of their work together on News Radio and Quick Change. There's a precision to Hartman's comedy that Murray clearly appreciates.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then there's the shout out to his brother Joel Murray.
Right.
And the whole improv scene with whose line is it? Anyway.
Yeah.
The energy of that show.
Oh, I know.
The way the audience participation ramps up the stakes.
It's so fun.
It's infectious. Yeah.
Yeah. And it really speaks to his point about fearlessness.
Right.
Whether it's improv or really any other pursuit in life.
Yeah.
That willingness to step outside your comfort zone, to embrace the unknown, that's where the magic happens.
And that actually ties in nicely with his thoughts on Steve McQueen.
Oh, yeah. How about that?
Those classic car chase films.
Yeah.
The way McQueen approached acting, always having that little piece of business to keep himself present in the moment.
It's a fascinating technique. And it really speaks to his commitment to authenticity.
Yes.
Even in the midst of these high-octane action sequences.
Right.
It reminds me of what you were saying earlier about Murray's, like, quiet wisdom.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's about bringing those small moments to life.
Yeah.
Infusing them with meaning. It's not just about the car chase. It's about the quiet moments that give it weight.
Right.
Like in Bullet.
Yeah.
Where the action is punctuated by those scenes of meticulous police work.
Right. That contrast, that pacing.
Yeah.
It's something you don't see as much in modern films these days.
No.
Which kind of brings us to Murray's point about the unique appeal of those older movies.
Right. That slower pace.
Yeah.
That invitation to really absorb this story.
Yeah.
It's something I'm finding myself craving more and more these days.
Yeah, me too.
Especially after this conversation.
For sure.
Okay. Before we move on to golf and archery and the meaning of life.
Right.
I'm curious, out of everything we've covered so far, what's resonated most with you?
Honestly, it's that thread of finding presence and purpose, whether it's through humor or, meticulous acting choices, or simply appreciating a well-crafted film.
Right.
He seems to have this knack for seeking out those moments of quiet focus in a world that's constantly vying for our attention.
That's for sure.
And that's something I think we can all learn from.
Absolutely. I'm already feeling a shift in perspective.
Me too.
And we're just getting started.
I know.
Let's see where this deep dive takes us next.
It's striking as we kind of delve deeper into this interview.
Yeah.
How Murray's personal philosophy seems to weave its way through all these seemingly disparate topics.
It's like those hidden connections you find in a good book, right?
It is.
Start in one place and end up somewhere completely unexpected.
Yeah.
But it all makes sense in retrospect.
Exactly. And speaking of unexpected detours,
how
about that part where he talks about his initial reluctance to embrace technology?
Oh, yeah.
Cell phones specifically.
Oh, yeah, that had me chuckling.
I know.
It's almost a badge of honor these days to hear someone admit they held out on getting a cell phone.
Right.
Especially someone as in demand as Bill Murray.
Exactly. And it's not just about being a Luddite or anything. It's more about being intentional with your attention.
Right.
Choosing to disengage from that constant digital chatter.
It makes me think about how much our devices have become extensions of ourselves. There's a part of me that envies his ability to step back from that.
Yeah.
To cultivate a different kind of presence.
It's like he's chosen a different operating system for his life.
Yeah.
And it clearly works for him.
Right.
Now, before we get too lost in the digital wilderness here, let's circle back to Murray's upcoming film projects.
Okay.
The French Dispatch, The Friend, and Riff Raff.
Talk about range.
I know, right? It's like he's deliberately choosing these projects that challenge him.
Right.
Keep him on his toes.
Yeah, you got Wes Anderson's quirky brilliance, and then a deeper dive into drama with The Friend, and then all-out comedy with Riff Raff.
Yeah. What's not to love?
Right.
It really speaks to his discerning taste.
Yes.
He talks about how there are certain directors that he trusts implicitly, like Anderson, Jarmusch, Coppola.
Yeah.
If they call, there are no questions asked.
There's something really beautiful about that level of trust and creative synergy.
Absolutely.
It's like they speak the same language, artistically speaking.
Yeah, and then for other projects,
right,
it all comes down to the script.
Yeah.
He says he knows within the first few pages whether or not it's a story he wants to tell.
Wow.
Which, if you think about it, is a great lesson for any creative endeavor.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's about honoring your instincts. Recognizing that spark of inspiration. Early on. Okay, but let's be honest.
Okay.
The real meat of this interview is when they get into the complexities of modern society. That whole discussion about tribalism and division.
It's fascinating.
It's fascinating, but also a little unsettling.
Yeah, a little unsettling. It's definitely a sign of the times. And Murray doesn't shy away from the tough questions.
No.
His point about social media creating these echo chambers where we only hear viewpoints that reinforce our existing beliefs.
Right.
It's uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable, but it's true.
But it's true.
And it reminded me of his point from earlier about navigating those political differences with Hunter S. Thompson.
Right.
Like, even within movements for positive change, there can be these blind spots, these missed opportunities for dialogue.
Which is exactly what he's advocating for.
Yeah.
He's calling for a shift in perspective.
Yeah.
A recognition that, we're more alike than we are different.
Right.
That most of us, regardless of our political leanings, want the same basic things.
Right.
Health security.
A good life for our families.
It's a powerful message.
It is.
Especially in a world that often feels so polarized.
Yeah.
It's like he's urging us to look beyond the labels and the rhetoric and just see the human beings beneath it all.
Exactly. And then just when you think it couldn't get any more thought-provoking,
right,
they go down this rabbit hole about Nixon and the Watergate scandal.
Oh, man, that whole conspiracy theory about the Watergate break-in being orchestrated by intelligence agents,
I know.
It's definitely out there.
It's out there.
But it's also incredibly compelling.
It's compelling.
Right.
And whether or not you buy into the theory itself,
right,
it speaks to this deep-seated distrust of authority, this fascination with uncovering hidden truths.
It highlights the power of alternative narratives, the importance of questioning.
Yes.
The official versions of events.
Absolutely.
Like he's encouraging us to be critical thinkers, to approach everything with a healthy dose of skepticism, which is a perfect segue into his story about reading Bob Woodward's book, Wired.
Oh, yes.
About John Belushi.
Yes.
It clearly struck a nerve with him.
Yeah.
Feeling like Woodward had kind of exploited Belushi's death for personal gain.
And you can understand why.
Oh, totally.
It's one thing to report on a public figure. It's another to betray a friend's trust.
Right.
Especially after they're gone.
Especially after they're gone, it speaks volumes about Murray's loyalty and his protectiveness of his own privacy. And it raises these really important questions about the ethics of storytelling.
Yes, it does.
How do we balance the public's right to know with the need to protect the dignity of individuals?
Those are questions we could probably ponder for hours.
No, yeah, for sure.
Okay, before we move on to the final part of this deep dive, I want to touch on something he said that really stuck with me.
Right.
His reflection on the greatest generation and how they faced unimaginable challenges, but emerged with this incredible sense of purpose.
Right. It's a powerful contrast to the current generation, which he feels lacks that same unifying purpose.
Right.
But here's the thing. He doesn't despair.
No.
He sees hope.
Right.
In individuals like Alan Graham and others who are actively working to make a difference.
It's like he's saying, look, the world is messy.
Yeah.
But there's still good being done.
Yeah.
Find your purpose, contribute your talents, and let's get to work.
Exactly. That sense of agency, that call to action.
Yeah.
It's incredibly inspiring.
It is.
I'm ready for part 3. How about you?
Bring it on.
All right.
I'm eager to see what other gems of wisdom and humor we uncover in this final stretch of the conversation. It's funny as we wrap up this deep dive into Bill Murray's world, how his own career embodies that message of finding your purpose, facing challenges head on.
Absolutely.
I mean, think about his path from that chaotic energy of Saturday Night Live to those iconic roles that just blend humor and depth.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters, Groundhog Day, Lost in Translation. He just never plays it safe.
Never plays it safe, and he's always pushing boundaries.
Right.
Even with his comedic sensibilities.
Yeah, he talks about how the landscape of humor has shifted.
Oh, yeah.
Jokes that were once acceptable are now off limits. Makes you realize how much comedy reflects the times we live in.
It does, and how important it is to be mindful.
Yes.
Even when the goal is to make people laugh.
Right.
But we can't forget about all those hilarious SNL anecdotes.
Oh, man.
It's like getting a glimpse behind the curtain of that legendary show.
Those late-night writing sessions, the sheer adrenaline of live performance.
You can just feel the energy.
You just can feel it.
Crackling through the speakers.
Makes you wonder if that's part of what draws him to projects like Who's Line.
Yeah, maybe.
That improv energy, the anything can happen vibe.
It's a good point.
It's a reminder that embracing the unexpected can lead to some of the most rewarding experiences.
For sure.
And that ties in with something else they talked about. That I thought was so fascinating. Their conversation about the nature of reality itself.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
That was mind-bending.
Mind-bending stuff.
I know.
Talking about the limits of human perception.
Right.
The possibility of other dimensions. these mysteries that lie just beyond our grasp.
It speaks to that human desire.
Right.
To explore the unknown.
Yes.
To grapple with those big questions.
It makes you realize how much we take for granted.
It does.
About our everyday experience of the world.
Absolutely.
Which brings us back to Murray's emphasis on living in the present moment.
Yeah.
Savoring those simple joys of life.
Mm-hmm.
His love of nature, his passion for golf.
Yeah.
Those quiet moments of contemplation.
Yeah.
It's like he's found a way to tap into this deeper sense of peace.
Right.
Amidst the chaos.
And it's not about ignoring the challenges or complexities of life.
No.
It's about finding that sense of grounding.
Yeah.
A way to stay connected to what really matters.
Remember that anecdote he shared?
Oh, yeah?
About the homeless man?
Mm-hmm.
Who challenged his whole perspective on wealth and happiness.
Was a powerful one.
It's a reminder that true fulfillment isn't about material possessions.
It's not.
It's about genuine connection.
Mm-hmm.
Living in alignment with your values.
Yeah.
Finding joy in those everyday moments.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So as we close out this deep dive,
All right.
what's your biggest takeaway?
Honestly,
Yeah.
it's that sense of possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bill Murray reminds us.
Yeah.
That life is a journey.
Yeah.
Full of unexpected twists and turns.
For sure.
It's up to us to embrace the adventure.
Absolutely.
Find our own path and leave the world a little brighter
I love that.
than we found it.
Beautifully put.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe in embracing that adventurous spirit,
Right.
we'll even cross paths with the man himself one day.
That would be amazing.
Until then,
Yeah.
keep exploring.
Keep questioning.
Keep diving deep.
We'll see you in the next deep dive.